Alright, yesterday was pretty fun. It was a, bit of a different video. It was like a case study, which is, always fun to do, right? But today is pure gameplay. Pure gameplay and pure yapping as I talk about Red Guardian and why I think he is such a monster right now. So, yeah, this character, pretty interesting one. He kind of just flew under the radar for a very long time. Like, he was buffed back in February and it was pretty much radio silent for like 2 whole months, right? And then, people like start to realize, like, hey, this guy's pretty good. For example, the Sasquatch, 31 seconds. That's insane, obviously, right? And here's this Iron Man Infinity War. What could go wrong, or what could go right? Who knows, right? Red Guardian, I feel like we just don't know his full potential just yet. Of course, I've done a ton of fights with him already, and he crushes pretty much all of them. But I want to see how he does in future metas. We've just scratched the surface with this character, and I feel like this 30-minute video isn't even enough to just showcase everything about him, because he is just that versatile, right? And yeah, this right here is Fistcuff, so there are recoil masteries in this fight. When there aren't recoil masteries, I'll tell you, but yeah, this has recoils in it. And yeah, he's pretty insane with them, obviously, but he's not friendly with them. So this was just a really good meta to test the damage output, which is obviously absurd, right? Look at that, 29,000 heavy attack, and then a massive SP2 as well. Didn't even fully crit. And the crit on the SP2, people kind of have to chill with that, right? Because his SP2 crit, it's very nice, obviously, right? It's an SP2 crit, and it does a ton of damage. It can literally one-shot fights. But what people don't realize is Red Guardian, how he works is whenever he gets that trauma up, it's not like he's cashing in everything to get that SP2 damage. He is just simply getting started damage wise, right? So once you drop the SP2, it's not well, there goes all my damage. It's no, the damage output is now starting. And there's a play style that you can use where you get the trauma earlier. Actually, it's kind of risky because you lose your shield for the first 16 seconds of the fight, and it can kind of make him a bit more squishy, which I don't like for Red Guardian, because I kind of pride this character on being one of the safest champions to play. So you can do that, but should you do it? I don't know. But here we have this rank 2 Venom. Here I go in, drop the SP2, and it one-shots. There we go, 30-something seconds. That's just how it is with this character, And here are some old classics. I'm gonna reuse some Battlegrounds fights from previous videos, because yeah, I just want to show this to a wider audience if that is the case here, with this video. But yeah, so this is a rank 2 Maestro. Has a ton of health, right? It's Maestro. He is a pretty beefy lad, and Red Guardian is one of the best science counters for him, just straight up. Look at this damage output. Just gets one shot right there, essentially. He's down to 30-something% health, so one more SP2 should do the trick, and you're gonna see that, yeah, it does do the trick. So yeah, here he drops the SP2 in a second. Does he? I don't know. And you know what? I don't want to find out, so I'm just not going to do it, right? But there he actually does drop it, so it is what it is. And here I drop my own SP2, we get one more crit, and that was so much overkill, and that was just so clean overall. That was a 50-second Maestro fight. Now this is a rank 5 Ascended Nick Fury. Yeah, a lot of health obviously, and it is class disadvantage, so hey, will the fight work? I don't know, and we're about to find out. So with Red Guardian here, the game plan is to just try to burst him down with 2 SP2s. First SP2 gets rid of his first life, the second one should just one-shot him, and that's the game plan. And that game plan was kind of a good one, because you're gonna see that, yeah, it does actually turn out pretty well for us. So we're gonna go in here, get the intercept, then we drop the SP2, and look at this damage output. Beautiful. Drop the heavy attack, and we're looking pretty good right now. So he's pretty much down to a second life, and it's time to just rebuild to our second SB2, which hopefully one-shots him. But then that happens, and that's really annoying because that like takes off a chunk of our health. And you know, I always pride Red Guardian on being one of the safest champions to play, but there's always that cooldown on his shield that makes him, you know, a bit vulnerable for a bit. And yeah, that was still like 60 seconds though, right? That was 60 seconds for a rank 5 Ascended Nick Fury. That is insane for a Science champion. And here we have this rank 3 Ebony Maw, and as you can see, like the past 3 fights have been with no recoil masteries. Like he is just a good DPS now. He doesn't need the recoil masteries, he'll never need the recoil masteries. He is just fine like by himself, right? Of course he does want like max sig and stuff, but that's a discussion for later. I want to make a part 2 where I'm just like, you know, discussing stuff about Red Guardian, about like his potential future in the contest, like if I see him being a 7-star ever, like things like that, but we'll just save that for a different video. But yeah, that was a 36-second Ebony Maw fight, rank 3 Ebony Maw by the way. So yeah, no recoil masteries. That was just Red Guardian right there, doing that 36-second fight. Insane. Here we have this Photon though. This is with recoil masteries, but it's still very, very clean. And this was like a learning experience for me because like it helped me realize that Red Guardian can actually take Photon pretty decently. Cause like check this out. She's gonna drop the SP2, no big deal. Then I go for a parry stun here in a second, and it, you know, triggers her miss, then it goes off cooldown, and then here I drop the SB2, the stun doesn't trigger the miss because of the cooldown, and it one-shots her. 34 seconds. Insanity, right? Just purely insane stuff. And here we have this rank 3 Bishop, recoil mastery's back on, so just a heads up. And you're gonna see that Red Guardian just kind of one-shots him again. And this one's like honestly one of my favorite fights because 32 seconds for a Bishop is essentially like unheard of for like most characters, honestly for every character except for like Juggernaut maybe. But yeah, here we go in, and we're gonna drop the SP2 in a second, and yeah, check this out. We're gonna drop it, first hit crits, second hit one-shots, there we go, 32 seconds, alright. That's just how it is, man. That's just how it is with Red Guardian. It just one-shots if it wants to, and like if it doesn't one-shot, guess what? Your heavy attacks do like 50,000 damage, which is insane, and that's consistent. That's not just like a one-time thing either. That's like for the rest of the fight. So like that's what makes me think that Red Guardian is safe for a very long time against these like rank 3 characters, because yeah, that man just, he doesn't cash out his damage output. He just gets like, you know, he just gets going. He never really stops his damage, and that's what makes him like such a, I think, valuable character. But yeah, here I dropped the SP2 and it one-shots. There we go. 30 something seconds for that Maestro. Very, very hilarious. And let's do some questing now, because we gotta, you know, get off Battlegrounds for a bit. I've showcased a ton of fights in like Battlegrounds with this character, but how does he do like in Quest and all that? And the answer is obviously very, very good. This man is pretty much good for everything now that he's buffed. And you know, the pre-buff Red Guardian, you could tell that there was potential there, right? He was the first ever buff immune champion. He had some pretty sweet damage output still, and there was just like one thing missing, and it was the practicality, right? The practicality of the character at like, you know, before the buff was just really, really bad. And you know, people were like, man, if this guy just had one change, he'd be so insane. And Kabam was like, all right, we'll do that change. And that one change, they were right, literally just changed him forever. It's such an insane change. And while I was talking, he one-shot that Hyperion, because of course he did. But yeah, now we have this Dr. Doom, and Dr. Doom is, it's kind of weird because like Dr. Doom was supposed to be one of the champions that he originally like was the best counter for, right? But there was one issue about that fight. He just couldn't crit against Dr. Doom, so he wasn't really that good for Dr. Doom. And you know what the solution was? To buff him and to give him that extra crit rating. That extra crit rating changed Red Guardian forever, right? He's going to be a timeless character because of that crit rate, because of that damage output right there. And I forgot to, like, you know, finish what I was saying, but the biggest change that, like, Red Guardian needed was the duration increase on his trauma debuff. That was the biggest complaint from any Red Guardian player ever. They will all tell you that, like, the one thing he needed was that longer trauma duration. And now that we have it, we can see just how broken this champion is, right? Of course, there's, like, other small changes that, like, made him even more broken, like the crit rate change, like I mentioned. And I think he got, like, some extra damage output too with the trauma debuff, like having more potency. But yeah, like, all these things combined, and you have, like, a buff of the year candidate. Actually, yeah, he's the best buff this year, obviously, right? I mean, Gladiator, great buff, but Red Guardian is just something else, really. To be, like, in the best class in the entire game, like, by far, and still, like, have an impact on that class, it's just wild stuff, right? That's how you know that a character is, like, really, really strong. And that was a pretty clean fight there. Here we have this Crisis of Opportunity node. Not a fun node because it degens you, which is not fun, but we're chilling. Yeah, here we have this Thorjane Foster. But yeah, like I was saying, the Science class is the best class in the game by far. It dominates the 7-star pool. It dominates pretty much everything. It makes Mystics irrelevant. And Kabam was like, how do we stop this? Let's add a 6-star Baroque and Science character now, so, like, everyone gets some love, right? You're not, like, progressed to get 7 stars yet, that's fine. Take a Red Guardian, and he'll just carry you for, like, everything. Like, that's just how it is, man. So yeah, like, having a 6-star character now that is, you know, this good, it makes me think that Red Guardian, like, at this point, when you factor in, like, you know, the importance of Battlegrounds and everything, I think he might be the best 6-star lock Science champion. It's either him or Scorpion or Human Torch. It's one of those three. Like, those are the new big three when it comes to, like, the Science class as, like, as 6 stars, right? Because yeah, they're just all so powerful, right? And Red Guardian, you know, before his buff, he was, like, not even a contender. He was like a bottom 20 Science champion. And, like, the fact that he went from, like, a bottom 20 to a top 3 6-star locked Science character, that's insane, right? And the craziest part is, he didn't even get overhauled. He just got value changes. And that kind of shows how impactful buffs are, right? But, like, we've known about that. Like, Shuri getting, like, a small numbers tune-up, now one of the best tech characters, if not the best tech character. Gladiator being a whole lot better now. And by the way, this SP2 doesn't crit. Does it matter? No, because look at that heavy attack damage, over 100,000. But like I was saying, yeah, buffs are crazy. Buffs make characters, like, whole different experiences. Like, when I play Red Guardian now, I'm like, this is not the Red Guardian that, like, I once knew. And I used to be a massive fan of Red Guardian, let me tell ya. Back in, like, 2020, I was, like, a ride or die Red Guardian fan. Like, I would even debate that he was better than Tigra at the time. But to be fair, like, we didn't really know how good Tigra was. And I was just like, yeah, Red Guardian's just better. And to be fair, Red Guardian in 2020 was pretty hyped. Like, he was, like, viewed as really, really good. And then, you know, the recency bias kind of just went away, and we were like, oh, this guy just isn't really that good because he's just so impractical. And we were right. He is impractical. He isn't, like, good because of that one reason. But now look at this man. Just one-shotting Act 8 health pools. Alright. Alright. I mean, like, what can you say? Here we have this Hit Monkey. This weapon, oh, by the way, enhances... What does it enhance? It enhances something, and it makes Red Guardian do a whole lot more damage. But here's the thing. Take away these, like, enhancements, still perfectly fine. You've seen the footage. You've seen the Battlegrounds gameplay. The man handles anything with, like, pretty much, like, no enhancements, right? He's just that good. Here we have this weapon node. No big deal here. We're fine, right? We're Red Guardian. We're chilling. And, what else do I want to say about this? I want to say so many things about this guy because he's just so cool. Yeah, there's just a lot to talk about with him, right? Because, like, he just does a lot. He has access to slow, which is obviously massive. He has access to a ton of crit rating. Oh, yeah, by the way, the crit rating thing. Here's why I'm not worried about Red Guardian not being a 7-star right now. By the way, that's just silly, obviously. But here's why I'm not worried about Red Guardian being a 7-star. So, when you think about, like, you know, 6-star characters versus 7-star characters, what comes to mind? Obviously, like, the challenger rating, right? Because he's punching up not just like health wise but also stat wise. He is at a disadvantage for, like, you know, base stats. Like, he has less crit rating, less crit damage. Here's the thing though, Red Guardian just doesn't care, because Red Guardian has access to some of the highest crit rate in the game. There I don't crit, but like it's fine. He doesn't like need to crit in this matchup, but yeah, like I was saying, Red Guardian has like up to 4,500 crit rate without the SP2. I mean, without the SP1, sorry. The SP1, the slow, adds another 1,500. So if you do SP1 into SP2, it's plus 6,000 crit rating. Insanity, right? That is pretty much guaranteed crits almost. And like I said, 4,500 is still very reliable. It pretty much cancels out any challenger rating and gives you like so much more as well. That's why this character, I feel like, is 7-star safe. Like, he is safe from, like, you know, he's safe from being countered by 7-star characters. Like, for example, take a Rintra. Yeah, Rintra's screwed. Like, I have to make a case study video about Rintra because that man is screwed. That man has 12% crit rate. And, like, if he's trying to fight a 7-star cosmic character, he's not critting. Just straight up not critting. It is nearly impossible for that to happen with that, like, you know, terrible base crit rate. And if Red Guardian was pre-buff, he wouldn't crit ever either, because his base crit rate isn't even all that. So that's why I value this buff so much, because it targets like the biggest issue with some of these 6-star locked characters, the fact that they can't crit as reliably anymore because of challenger rating. And whatever the heck that was, that fight was just insane. Here we have this Gamora, same node, same everything. This is a very fun one, and here I'm using that playstyle that I talked about like before, with, like, you know, purposely getting hit by a heavy attack, but you know, Red Guardian can block unblockable, so he just like blocks it, he inflicts the trauma, and then the result is just a whole lot of fun. Just like a whole lot of fun. Here I go back in, and then I drop the SP2, and it one-shots as expected, as per usual. And here we have this Symbiote Supreme, same like playstyle. I'm gonna go for that heavy attack thing, and you know, it does work, right? It does like lead to a lot of extra damage at the start of the fight. It's just like in Battlegrounds, you do lose a bit of health, right? Unless he perfect blocks that heavy attack, which there is a chance that it happens, but it's a bit too unreliable for me. And you know, I pride this character on being like really reliable when it comes to critting and stuff. And so like I want to just keep playing it safe with this champion, if that makes sense. But here we have some boss action. Here we have this Gauntlet Dr. Doom. This one's a pretty fun one because I'm going to use that playstyle because it's like, it's Gauntlet Doom. Why not just have some fun with it? Why not kind of risk it for the biscuit, see what happens? And yeah, the risk does pay off because this fight is really, really fast. So here I drop the SP1 for the slow, and he is now countered. Like, he can't do anything anymore. It's really satisfying. Here he drops the SP2, no big deal. Here I go for my heavy attack, and we get a nice crit there. And here I go for the heavy attack thing, and yeah, we perfect block it, which is crazy, right? Because, you know, Dr. Doom has some of the like highest block penetration in the game, and Red Guardian is doing, he's perfect blocking that. He's like perfect blocking those, you know, devastating block hits, and that just like goes to show how nutty this man is. Like, seriously, it's honestly wild stuff. And here I bout the unblockable, then I go for a heavy attack, and this fight is off to a great start already. And yeah, here we get the stun, we drop the heavy attack, and no crit unfortunately, but it's okay because we're gonna try again, and hopefully the second one crits. Here he drops the SP2, no big deal. Here I go for the parry, and yeah, 35,000 crit, plus all that extra physical burst damage. So it's like a 70,000 heavy attack. No synergy, no recoil masteries, no bonus damage enhancement. That is just pure Red Guardian right there. How crazy is that? Like, actually, how crazy is that? And here I go for the relic intercept, and then I go for another intercept here, drop the SP2, and it one-shots him, obviously. And we didn't even get to see the red number right there. And yeah, 1 minute and 37 seconds, not bad at all for a Gauntlet Dr. Doom fight. But here we have this Gauntlet Terrax fight, and this is where stuff just gets kind of crazy, to be honest, because you know, Terrax, like, as he like doesn't perform any action or like doesn't get hit, he just loses power constantly, right? So my game plan was, okay, Red Guardian has extended stun duration, right? So let me just parry, get that perfect block, get that increased stun duration, and just back off, and I'll just be pretty healthy for the entire fight. And like when the time comes, drop my SP2, do some damage that way, and then we're chilling. So that was the game plan. And let me tell you, I might be a genius. No, I'm not, but it's still like a pretty funny fight, to be fair. Cause like, I'm just here parrying, he is just there like getting stunned for like a long time. And yeah, it's just really, really fun. So here he drops the SP nothing, he doesn't drop it cause he's being a jerk. Taken forever to drop the SP2, but there he finally does it. And here I drop my SP3, and it is showtime now. So yeah, Rockfield is up, that's fine. Here I drop my heavy attack, does no damage, but it's fine. And yeah, we're chilling, right? Just getting those perfect blocks, getting the extended stun duration, and because of that, he's just like not doing any damage to us pretty much, because we can just back away safely, and we are chilling. And here I drop the heavy attack, a nice 24,000 crit. And you know, this matchup is a bit slow, right? We're not doing much damage to him yet. However, once we get the SP2 off, things will change for sure. So here I drop it, nice crit, then a nice crit again, 98,000 damage. And it's time to start backing away. Here I don't have the perfect blocks though, so that is one disadvantage of like this fight. That like 16-second window does hurt for sure, but we're still chilling. We're still doing pretty good in this fight. We got like one SP2 off, and it did pretty much like half of his health, so we're looking pretty good here, to be fair. Here he drops the SP2, no big deal. I go back in, and yeah, just still a very funny fight. Drop the heavy attack, we're chilling. And it's time to just start parrying again and just getting those perfect blocks and letting those perfect blocks just keep me healthy. And we might full yellow bar this actually, which is insane. But here I drop the SP2 in a second. Do I drop it? I should drop it right now, just like to end the fight. And yes, I do it, get a nice crit, and that's a 98% health finish on Gauntlet Terrax. Kinda nutty for sure. Now we have this Corvus Glaive boss, and this one's a very interesting one because it has Rust and Ruin and also Footloose. So Footloose just countered by Red Guardian at base because of his SP1 slow, but the interesting one is Rust and Ruin because this gives him a chance to like give me armor breaks, right? And those hurt, obviously, for like any character, but Corvus Glaive it hurts especially because Corvus Glaive has guaranteed crits even through block. So how does Red Guardian take this fight? Well, basically he does it because he has, you know, perfect block, right? And you know, the critical hits can be perfect blocked as well, so he is kind of just chilling for this entire fight. So yeah, it's a pretty fun one. You know, I could have taken the Ebony Maw as well, but you know, that one's pretty basic. You know how Red Guardian works against like those, you know, buff punishing characters. You've seen that already, right? But this is something new at least. And yeah, here I drop the SP3, and we're kind of just chilling so far. Here I drop a heavy attack, a nice 34,000 crit. Just Red Guardian things, man. This just, you know how it is already. Here he drops the SP2, Very scary, doesn't matter, and yeah, just a perfect block coming in clutch big time. Here he drops another SB2 in a second. Yeah, there we go. Drop the heavy attack. Nice 30,000 crit again. He has the evade up, but it doesn't matter because we're Red Guardian and we have that slow up. So here I drop the SB2 and we get a nice 112,000 crit, which is insane. Here he drops the SB2 one more time, and then I drop my heavy attack, and that is game over. Very fun fight. very fun fight. Here we have the Spider-Man Supreme, and this one is also a very fun one, and it's a very fast one. So yeah, pay attention, don't blink or else you'll miss it, because it is insane. So yeah, fight starts. It's Spider-Man Supreme, so like he punishes any buff that you gain, but Red Guardian is buff immune, so we just don't care. And here he drops the SP1, no big deal, and we're looking pretty good so far. He has stun immunity, which is kind of annoying, but we can just like wait it out and then we're chilling. So check this out, we're gonna go in here, we're just gonna play it slow, we're gonna drop the relic in a second into the SP2, and yeah, we get the crits. Drop the heavy attack, and that's it. So this had heavy assault, which, you know, supercharges the heavy attack, and that's why it was doing like over 100,000 damage. Here we have this Dormammu boss. He has Science Wrath, so like we're kind of chilling. And Dormammu, I think Red Guardian was like meant to counter Dormammu back in the day. Dormammu, he's lost like pretty much all his value at this point, because like if like the character that he's like defending against is buff immune, then yeah, he does nothing, literally nothing, right? He is one of the easiest champions to fight once you get rid of like his degen, which is very easy to do now. But yeah, here we have the slow up, so like fight or flight does nothing to us. And now it's time for the SB2, and the SB2 is gonna one-shot him because of course it is. So yeah, here we go for a combo into the heavy attack, 42,000 crit. Then we go into the SP2 after this relic, and yeah, pretty good stuff here. I dropped some more heavy attacks, 48,000 heavies, because why not? And this matchup is now over. A very fun one, a pretty straightforward one, and it was like, what, 52 seconds? So that's just Red Guardian for ya. And yeah, here we have this Gore boss. This one was going so well until something happens. I'm just gonna let you see what happens in a bit. But yeah, it was such a clean start. It was such a nice start, and like this Gore boss is annoying because he has Civil War Zone, which means he gets armor up, so like if you don't crit, you just can't do damage to him. However, Red Guardian, he crits a lot on the SP2, so that was the game plan, right? Just bypass the armor up by critting like Red Guardian usually does. So yeah, does that work? Well, you'll see in a second. But yeah, here he drops the SP1, no big deal, and it's you know, it's a slow start, obviously, because like we don't have our damage ready, and I don't want to like, you know, try to trigger the trauma early, because that includes taking blocked hits, which if you do that against Gore, you're gonna like get a ton of DOT on you, which we don't want, because Red Guardian, as crazy good as he is not immune to anything besides buffs. But yeah, we're still kind of chilling. Here I go for the relic in a second to get like that free heavy attack. And yeah, here he drops the SP1 again, no big deal, and it is now time for the SP3, and it's time to start doing some very nice damage. And we're almost there, right? Just one SP2 should do it, because this has Foresight. So I'm gonna try to like, you know, get the Foresight Fury, then drop the SP2, and then just one-shot him. And hey, I think it's gonna turn out pretty nice, right? That was what I thought, and then you're gonna see what happens in a second. So yeah, there I dropped the heavy attack, no big deal, and yeah, this is going like very well, right? Like what could go wrong? Oh, you shouldn't have asked that, because you know it's me, so something will go wrong, obviously, right? Here I dropped the heavy attack, 55,000, missed the dex, and I almost die, but we're not dead. So I dropped the SP2, and my plan worked, because look at that damage output, get the intercept into the SP1, and you know, I was right. I was right in thinking that he was gonna like crush this fight, and he did crush the fight, obviously, because yeah, one SP2 just sent him to the Shadow Realm. Here we have this Mephisto boss though. This one is a pretty fun one, and this has a limber, right? But the thing with Red Guardian is, if he has like those perfect blocks, he bypasses limber because he gets that extra stun duration. So yeah, as like good of a general DPS that Red Guardian is, he's also a very like niche character as well, because like he does some things that most characters just cannot do. For example, perfect block this often. So yeah, he's such a good champion. Obviously, like he's so versatile, but then again, he also has some pretty niche uses as well. And yeah, here we drop the relic and we have that protection down again. And so far so good here, right? It's Mephisto, so like I don't want to do too many hits, because if I do too many hits, he'll get a ton of auras, and we're not immune to that, so we have to like be careful here. But here I mess up. You're gonna see in a second what I do. I should have just like gone in, dropped the relic, but here I dropped the relic and he blocks immediately, so this SB2 is gimped by 50%, and even though it's gimped by like 50%, it still does some pretty good damage, to be fair. So yeah, that kind of upset me, because like, you know, it could have been a pretty clean one shot, but instead we have to deal with this, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. And yeah, here I dropped the relic successfully that time. And here he has the regen thing up, so I have to back off for a bit. Here I drop the SB2 a second time, and we get the crit into the heavy attack, and that is that. So yeah, Red Guardian, honestly just a really cool character. You know, one of my favorite buffs to ever come out of the game for sure. Honestly, just such a beast of a champion, so versatile, just incredible damage output, and like the fact that he's in the best class in the game and is still making a pretty big impact, that speaks volumes, right? So let me know your thoughts on Red Guardian, and yeah, that's about it for me.